Isabel is expecting her 5th child any day now. Erasmus has a heart condition so severe that he has been unable to work for 12 months. And today they have been evicted from the hovel they were squatting in. Their story, as I filmed it, was to bring home very starkly what it means to live and die in the shanty towns that today ring Lima, Peru. But why have the Celestina family, like so many before them, ended up on this patch of sand? The road that led them into the dark of despair began here in Peru's glorious high Andes.
Manang alintatyo pisilang papa karotah mbida inaspa.
Life is not good at all. It's very expensive. There are only a few potatoes. I sow barley and potatoes, but there's not much harvest. For this reason, things are not good. And I want to get away. Beans and potatoes are scarce, and I've gathered very little. I seem to be working for nothing here. I want to go somewhere else. If I went as a worker to Lima, I might find a better kind of life and be able to educate my children.
This search for a better life takes tens of thousands of families down from the Altiplano, the mountain peaks and high plateaus where their ancestors eked out an existence for thousands of years. The land that was the birthright of a golden civilization yields today's peasant little reason to stay. Starting down from the high Andes on an ancient high road built for the Incas, that noble caste of emperors who conquered the Aymara tribes of the Altiplano and established their capital here at Cusco. This was the center of the universe and the capital of an empire that stretched from Chile to Colombia and from Peru to Argentina. The Incas ruled 20 million Indians for more than 4 centuries until the Spanish conquest in 1532. It is here, along Cusco's narrow streets of fitted stones, dating from the Inca period, that the peasant first comes down to look for work in the bustling market. Peasants from the surrounding countryside display their brightly colored wool, their fruit and vegetables. But it's a futile trek for the impoverished peasant who can only offer his bare hands and burning desire to work. For jobs are scarce, and the disheartening search often ends in a handful of coca leaves. The soothing oblivion eases the cramps of hunger and dulls the harsh reality of bitter prospects and little hope. Even in Inca times, scratching a living from the land wasn't easy. But despite the Inca's tyrannical social system, no one, however humble, went without food, work or housing. 20 years after the conqueror Francisco Pizarro had moved his capital to Lima, down on the coast, half of the highland Indian population had died from forced labor in the mines. The land was left in the hands of a few Spanish noblemen. The Indians became slaves. And until 6 years ago, 144 years after Simón Bolívar won independence from Spain, 1,000 families still controlled 60% of the land under cultivation. In 1968, a small group of colonels assumed power. It was the first government in the history of Republican Peru to be actively concerned with doing something positive to help the peasants. They gave back 6 million hectares to 300,000 peasant families and made it illegal for anyone to own more than 300 acres of land. But in spite of this, the average yearly income outside the capital is still only $50. And even the stupendous beauty of the most famous Inca architectural marvel, the hidden fortress city of Machu Picchu, isn't strong enough to keep the peasant on his ancestral land. unless the present regime implement its land reform program, the people will continue to flow into Lima, where 3.5 million of Peru's 14 million people already struggle for jobs and money. This is the end of the road from the mountains. The peasant brings his fragile hopes to the center of commercial, industrial and administrative power in Peru. Here in the main square of Lima stands the statue of Francisco Pizarro, the only public monument to a conqueror in the South American continent. In the Plaza des Armes, the military government makes its plans for the future, attempting to give equal opportunity to all its citizens. But beyond the graceful colonial architecture and modern skyscrapers of the city center lie what will be the immigrants' new reality, the barriadas, the shanty towns. There are 307 of these sprawling slums.